What?
He's telling you to start.
Are we starting? Okay. Don't look like that, Wesley. Welcome, nerds and nerdettes, to the Status Effects Podcast, a show where two friends gather together to talk about video games and other cool stuff. I have with me my friend Justin.
Hi, I'm Justin.
That's him. Today, I don't know what we're going to be talking about because Zach was kind of the captain, El Capitan.
Zach got
of the show?
Something happened. We'll put it like that. Something came up. Baby related.
That sounds so like
Baby related.
cryptic and scary.
It kind of is.
It's not really. He had to go put up a fence or something, right?
Yeah. Okay. Let's get started, Michael.
Yeah.
So,
What are we talking about?
I don't know. You said you had something.
Oh, okay. I've been playing this game lately,
Mhm.
right?
That's what we do
This
here.
thing is really close to me. I keep hitting it. Anyway,
Okay.
I've been playing this game. It's like a mystery game, okay? Where when I wake up, I look around my apartment to see if stuff has moved in different locations.
Is this real life? Is this the game called Real Life, or is this?
This is real life. This is in real life. Every time I wake up, I have to look around my apartment to make sure stuff hasn't moved to try to figure out where I went when I sleepwalked. Because I am
What?
sleepwalking now. It is
What?
confirmed that I am
How
sleepwalking.
do you know this?
Okay, it started out with small little occurrences, right? Like I'd wake up and like whenever I go to bed, I'll preface this by saying whenever I go to bed, I plug my phone in and put it on my nightstand beside my bed every
Okay,
night.
sure.
And I set my alarms. One night, a couple weeks ago, I woke up and my phone was unplugged next to my pillow. And I thought it was weird. I was like, what? Maybe I just fell asleep with my phone.
Maybe it's a ghost.
And I was like, maybe it could be a ghost. or
Oh
something.
yeah,
And,
you know, all the obvious
It
answers.
did go through my mind. I didn't know what it could be. But sleepwalking was not, or like waking up during the middle of the night without being aware of it was not one of the things I thought of. But then I noticed stuff would be moved like out of their normal places when I woke up. Like
my
there would be a
God.
cup like upside down on the countertop. I'm like, what is happening here? And then yesterday, I woke up in my recliner.
What?
Like I
And you
went
didn't
to
go to sleep
like
there.
I plugged my phone in and put it on the nightstand, went to
Uh-huh.
bed, and then I woke up like 4 hours later in the recliner in the living room. And I did not go to sleep in the recliner in the living room.
Well, there's only one thing you can do now. If it were me, you have to record yourself.
See,
You have
I
to
know.
find out what you're doing.
I really need to get like a
See
camera.
if you're
and,
possessed
like,
or something.
dude, it
Or
scared
somebody's
me.
like walking in the house and moving you around.
Last night, I locked my door to make sure I wouldn't leave the bedroom. Like, and I put like tape over it to see if like I opened
That
the door.
is really weird.
It is so scary,
did you?
dude. No, I didn't. Thank goodness. I don't know if it's because I'm on night shift or if that has anything to do with it, and like my body's just like wigging out
This
for
sounds
some reason.
like the plot of some kind of a horror movie.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm worried like I'm gonna drive down the street or something. That would be really terrifying.
Yeah.
Like if I woke up like driving.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it
dude.
reminds me of Jacob's Ladder. Have you ever seen that?
No, I have not seen that.
Oh
What is
man,
that?
it's like it's a movie where a dude who was in Vietnam, they got like some kind of special sort of military drug tested on them, and he starts having all kinds of weird hallucinations where he's like the real world becomes demonic or something. You know, they had this hospital scene that was heavily inspired Silent Hill, where you
Okay,
kind of
yeah,
go
yeah.
into that other realm where it's all like rusty and everything's
Yeah,
dark,
yeah.
and you have like the little enemies like sort of jitter as they walk towards you. They did this like weird camera effect where I think they did like an extended exposure and had the guy like shaking around, like walking towards you. And so when you play it at normal speed, it's like he's just like teleporting at you, like
Oh
gyrating
my
all over the place.
God.
Yeah. See, I found a way to make it video game related. Aren't I the best?
Yeah, and terrifying. You made it
Oh
terrifying.
yeah, that's a great movie. You guys should definitely check that out
Okay.
if you've never seen it.
Well, how does that relate to sleepwalking though? Because I'm like
Well,
in
it's
another
like,
world.
That's the thing, man. It's like, what is sleep? You know, is it going into
another
another
reality.
dimension? Yeah, dude. Maybe you're in some sort of horrific nightmare scape while you're in the dreamland, and you know you're just like going
Oh my
through
god.
who knows what.
You're not really helping my anxiety
Oh,
about
oh
the
yeah.
situation,
Oh, was
Justin.
that the point I was supposed to
The
help?
point I was trying to make is like, what do I do? Help me.
You got to tie yourself down to the bed.
That sounds drastic,
Well, yeah.
and I don't know if I could sleep like that.
What I'd really do, if
Yeah,
you're serious, and
yeah,
I don't know why we're talking about this on this show, change your diet. I bet that has something to do with
What
it.
does that have to do with sleepwalking?
I mean, it has to do with everything. Your diet does.
Okay, well, we're not a health show. We can change the
Probably.
subject if you
I
want
don't
to.
know.
What do you want to talk about, Dustin? What's going on in your life?
I want to talk about this year,
Okay.
right? So we're having some plans to do some kind of a game of the year sort of show. And there's been a lot of big name games that came out this year. A lot of PS4 exclusives, especially God of War and Spider-Man, and then Red Dead Redemption.
Red.
But I think I pronounced that right, didn't I? But we kind of realized here at the show that of those games, the only one that any of us has played is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And when we sat down and started thinking about, what would even be on the game of the year list, I actually went back and looked at the Steam games, my entire Steam library. And I bought like 2 games this year, and they were both like indie games.
So you're saying we're frauds?
I think either we are, or what's going on with AAA stuff that just doesn't attract us anymore. I don't know what's happening.
If it's AAA
And-
stuff
and
in
then-
general.
At the end of the year, you have all this stuff with Fallout 76. One of
Yeah,
the worst
yeah.
received games in history. There was the Mass Effect Andromeda thing, the fiasco, and that was put in the same tier as like the ET game that got buried in a Nevada desert somewhere. And now you have
the ET.
Now you have Fallout 76, which might be the worst reviewed game
It's not worse
ever.
than ET, right? It can't possibly.
I think it might not be a worse game, but it's probably more disappointing, and it will probably have a bigger impact on the industry going forward.
I think that has a lot to do with like expectation, though, right?
Well, yeah, of course. But this is also made by a company whose games people expect them to be buggy on release. This isn't
Right.
this isn't a company that people expect
That's
things
true.
to be perfect.
That is true.
But we're having enemies that T-pose because their animations are broken. People getting stuck in floors and stuff. I heard if you get stuck in a wall, people think that the easiest way to get out is to summon your little power armor and then climb into it because it'll like teleport you out of the hole. This is like common knowledge stuff,
like it's strategy.
Yeah,
Like
you have to strategize to avoid bugs. If you watch a video of Fallout 76, 5 seconds you can see pop in that I haven't seen since the PS1 era. It's insane. And this is a game.
Why is it so bad? What happened to this game?
They
dude?
must have rushed it out or something. But just the fact that they would release a game in this state,
You know what I remember reading when I don't know if they probably fixed it by now. They had to have, but like the network security was so bad. Like if you went into the game's files as you're playing with somebody, you can see their IP address.
Really?
Like in the game's files.
Oh
Yeah, it's
my
not encrypted at
God.
all, and you could
That is
just
terrible.
log them out of the game.
I can believe it. Like this engine's never had a multiplayer game before. I mean, when the beta came out, right?
Yeah.
It was deleting people's hard drives on PC, kind of like the Magic Arena beta was. What's up with this
Oh
stuff?
my God,
It
dude.
feels like in so many ways, especially quality control wise, we're taking big steps backwards this year.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just this and the loot box thing, and that's starting to finally be addressed. If we start to see loot boxes being made illegal in the US and the EU, I mean, that's going to set the industry back. It's like pressing a reset button on the last 8 years.
I think a loot box thing would be a good idea though, because I don't.
Sure, but the ramifications it's going to have on how games are made and how this content's distributed, this going to be far-reaching,
Sure. I think it'd be a change for the better though, as far as loot boxes are concerned,
Right.
because I think that is absolute garbage. to be
Yeah,
honest
I
with
agree. I agree. And speaking of loot boxes,
you. Yeah.
Valve's Artifact game that we spoke about a couple
Oh,
weeks ago
yeah,
has
yeah.
finally been released. And, that's another game that's really upsetting people.
Mm-hmm.
The monetization strategy they decided to go with is essentially Magic the Gathering, almost to a T, perfectly copying it. So,
And I understand why that's what the market
Yeah.
dictates, but I don't think.
does it, though? I mean, that's kind of the
That's what
interesting thing
Magic
is that it's
is.
it's flying in the face of all these other digital card games.
Yeah, I think it's trying to take a monetization formula of like a physical card game would,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's a good strategy.
I'm not 100% sure that it is either. It doesn't seem like a lot of people are happy about it. Me personally, when I finally saw gameplay videos of it, kind of turned me off. The game was way more random than I anticipated. The stuff with like the randomly spawning creeps, the fact that your selections to use the shop at the end of a lane, like a laning phase, is random. That really turned me
The
off.
items in the shop are random.
I believe they are. You only get to choose from like 3 items.
and
Yeah.
you don't know what dictates what items are in the shop.
I personally don't know. Maybe there is some way to tell, but it certainly didn't seem that way.
That doesn't seem good.
And so once you buy the game up front, you know, that's another way it differs even from Magic, because you actually have to just buy the game straight up. You do get some cards, so it's kind of, I guess, similar to Magic Online in that way.
Sure, but I'm sure like whatever cards you get aren't worth.
Probably
Much
not
at all.
So once you do that, then you can buy packs to play Constructed, or you can play Draft. Now, I think they have both a paid and a free draft. Free draft is like a Phantom Draft in Magic. You don't get to keep the cards. So
Oh, gotcha.
now it does sound like there's some interesting strategies and stuff going on. It seems like the game has some complexity to it.
It's got to, right? Because I mean, it's
Yeah.
got 3 card games going on at one time, basically.
Right,
Now, granted,
yeah.
those individual card games might be simplified compared to like a full game of Magic, but the fact that there are 3 going on at one time is indicative of some complex
Right.
strategy.
And you know, there's different cards that will affect different fields, even, you know,
yeah.
not necessarily the field that you play it in and things like that. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, but at the same time, there are all these other options, and the pricing of it is not going to appeal to a lot of people. I think that the game is going to end up being way more niche than people first thought, but we'll have to see how that goes. Valve
I
has
think
a pretty good track
that,
record.
That could be a good thing though, because I think a lot of like with a competitive game like that, you want people that are interested in the game playing the game.
Yeah, but when
Like,
you
and you
have,
have
a
to
game
be.
that it's going to depend very heavily on this marketplace. That was the big gimmick. Is Steam has this marketplace where you can trade things like skins or items from TF2, things that come from loot boxes, essentially exactly like we were talking
Can
about.
you trade cards to other players?
Yes, you can.
Like say, okay, I'm going to give you this Axe card if you give me this Crystal Maiden. Like it doesn't matter what it is.
As far as I know, yeah, that's the way it works on all the other games for the Steam Marketplace. Yeah. Now the interesting thing about that though is, and I think they're taking steps to handle this, but the Steam Marketplace is rife with scammers and such. You know, some of the skins in CS:GO are worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, and there are people that are willing to do just about anything to get their hands on them. Yeah, I'm not kidding about that. They're
Thousands of dollars.
Thousands of
for a
dollars.
CS:GO skin.
Like the what was it? The one for the Cobble map, I can't remember what it's called, was worth question mark. Like people really, it's hard to say how much it's actually worth. I wouldn't be surprised if it was worth as much as a Black Lotus in some cases.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So just like imagine where like these rare cards are going to come.
Right,
Close
and
to,
they say
like-
that, you know, the Axe card last I saw was at like $15, which isn't that bad if you're coming from Magic. And I think the game has like a
Sure.
3 of rule, right? Is that right? Not sure.
I think so, yeah. I think
So that's not terrible. That's like what you would pay for like an average quality mythic in Magic. And probably most of the other cards are going to be cheaper than Magic cards. It should be easier to trade them. But I mean, at the same time, it's like you will need to get these cards off this marketplace pretty much in order to be able to compete in Constructed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that tends to be the kind of mode that people most enjoy in other card games. If you look, even in Magic, you know, Constructed is much more popular than Draft is. So
Yeah, it is. I like in a game like Hearthstone, like you can't buy individual cards. I don't believe.
no, you can't.
But you
There's
can
no way to.
craft them and make them in game for free.
Yeah.
Basically, if you play long enough, it takes a long time. But if you play long enough, you can get all the cards you need for free.
Right.
I don't think you can do that in Artifact, and that bothers me.
Yeah, I don't think there is any system like that at all. I think the only 2 ways to get cards are to buy packs and a trade, and we'll just have to see how that ends up affecting the game and its competitive scene and everything. I know that they already are planning $1 million tournament, so
Are they really?
they're
Well,
before
it's
launch.
Dota
so
people,
well,
so I
yeah,
guess.
exactly. So we'll just have to see how that game pans out over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll have its hardcore fan base.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I guess we'll have to see.
Yep.
But first, I want to say, hey Siri, say my name.
You're asking me? Big Flappy Daddy?
I'm sorry. What?
So since all the games of today are we're kind of
Dookie?
down on them. They're not dookie.
They're not dookie.
They're not dookie, but we're kind of down on them.
Game of the Year is going to be weird though when we start talking
It
about
is
that in a
going to be
couple
weird.
weeks.
But that being the case, let's talk about old games. Okay?
Okay. I love old games.
I've been playing the remake of an old game. a little game called Spyro the Dragon.
Okay.
He breathes fire and stuff. He's
He does.
purple. He's got like yellow wings flapping
It
around. A
used to
little,
be orange.
little dragonfly.
It's fine.
So
what do you think about
Is this
it?
the hill you're gonna stand on?
No. Okay, so
I like
first
it
of
a
all,
lot.
what is the name of it exactly? The re-release?
Spyro the Reignited Trilogy.
Okay, nice.
It's a beautiful name. I like it a lot. It is a very animated Pixar like graphic style.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
very,
It's definitely a handsome game.
Yes, it is very charming. It's got a lot of character. It is very bouncy, is a good word I can use to describe it. I like it a lot. I never played it as a kid, so I don't have much nostalgia for it.
Right. Well, I do. So perfect.
Yeah. But I'm enjoying it a lot. What do you think about Spyro, Justin?
I like Spyro a lot. The first two in particular, I really like. And yeah, it's always kind of had that sort of cartoon feel to it, especially the first one. Since you've beaten it now, right?
Yes.
Like the fourth world is just so weird.
Which
the
one is
place
that,
with
the
the
magic
castle
one?
and everything.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
so
yeah.
strange.
It is.
You know, there's places where you, I think you like activate switches or stuff, and things like grow and shrink. It's so just abstract and weird.
Yeah. There's like these little jesters that whenever you hit them, they're invincible. But whenever you hit them, they like shrivel up and a timer starts going down, and it activates like either a platform or an invisible wall or like stuff that you don't really think that it would be that an
Yeah.
enemy would be activating.
It was like the Spyro series was kind of like the Sony answer to Mario 64 and those types of collectathon games. You had Crash Bandicoot, which was more linear, like more
Yeah.
similar to the 2D Mario games in a 3D space, obviously. And then you had Spyro, which was more open-ended. You kind of sort of explore the world, run around, collect stuff. And
I love collecting stuff.
and
dude.
I think what really set Spyro apart was it just had a lot of character, like a lot of
did.
the non-essential stuff. Like it controlled fine. I can't think of any awful complaints. Sometimes Spyro would do some weird stuff, but the music was super just excellent. Like extremely memorable. It's very distinctive. It's kind of like Banjo-Kazooie in that way. You can hear a song and just immediately that's a Banjo-Kazooie song.
Yeah.
And Spyro the Dragon's the same
Or
way.
you'll hear a song and be like, oh, that's the Swamp World or whatever.
Yeah, Rusty Bucket Bay, man.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy. Love that. But yeah, Spyro's great like that too. Like Michael was saying, it has a lot of very cartoonish animation,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of actually supposed to be more challenging in 3D. But you'll have like situations where your little dragonfly friend, he's like your he's kind of like your Akumas in Crash.
Yeah, yeah.
So
He's
when
like your life bar, basically.
yeah, he's your life bar. So in order to restore your health, he eats fireflies and that like changes his color or whatever. And when he does, he sort of chases your character around after he's following this butterfly and sort of grows and chomps down on it like a cartoon character
Yeah,
would,
yeah.
you know, where their mouth gets super huge. And sometimes that'll happen in like the later games when Spyro does like his ground pound, he sort of like stretches out before he slams down and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's just very childlike, you know, even the enemies.
It is
too
very
are like that.
childlike and very animated. Like
Yeah.
all the characters, all the enemy designs,
The dragons.
the dragons.
That
they're
was one of
so-
the coolest things I saw from the new one. If you played the
Yeah.
older ones, when you your stars from Mario are these dragons who get like turned to stone or whatever by the
Yep.
bad guy, and you're trying to rescue all these dragons. And when you do, like all these stupid dumb dragons have their different little personalities, and they'll talk to Spyro or give him advice or tell him he's an idiot or whatever.
Yep.
And they even come from all these different like dragon clans that have different.
Hey, there's lore.
There's There's like the big burly like
Yeah.
macho dragons. There's the dumb nerd dragons. Yeah, it's cool. But in this game, they took it to the next level. One of the ones I saw was the guy was like a butcher or something. He was wearing like an apron and he was like grilling hot dogs or something. It was crazy. So yeah, there's all kinds of cool little touches like that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the dragons, and each one is completely different. There's like 70 or 80 different dragons. Like I cannot believe that's just in the first game. There's three
it must have
games.
taken an insane amount of work to do all of
Yeah,
that.
and what are there dragons in the second game? I don't know yet.
No, in the second game you collect these little orbs instead.
Oh, that's no.
Yeah,
That's so less fun, dude.
It definitely is. Yeah, but the second game is still really good.
Okay.
The levels are really cool. It's just a big game. There's so much to do, like especially in the overworld. The overworld's a lot more interesting in that game. There's more like abilities that you can unlock and stuff
I did
like
notice
that.
that you can swim in
Yeah.
the second one.
Yep.
Like if you touched water in the first
you
game,
frickin' drown.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Yeah. just like in Crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the second one you can swim. You can swim underwater eventually. You get upgrade powers. You talk some of the. I think too, kind of they shifted from having a bunch of dragons that are like one-off characters, and tried to focus more on like recurring characters, like the cheetah guy and the girl and the money bags dude. Have you met him yet? He's pretty
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah, he's
kind of
kinda-
aggravated me.
yeah, he's annoying.
He cost 400 gems to make a freaking bridge, dude. Like,
Yeah,
are
you'll
you
you'll
doing?
be seeing him some more. Yeah. The third one I can't speak to too much. I feel like it kind of the series is just so comparable to Crash because I'm thinking that Sony kind of pushed both those developers in the same direction, and you could sort of see the growth from the first game to the third game. No mini games to a couple mini games to half the game as mini games in both of them, which is why I think two is probably my favorite in both series. 3 in Crash, half the levels are Coco. Jesus Christ!
oh god, dude.
Or the plain ones.
See,
or
that's
something stupid.
I've only played a couple
and
minutes
Spyro's
of-
the same way.
I've only played a couple minutes of Spyro 2, but literally in the first 5 minutes, I'm not even like flying around as a dragon. I'm throwing rocks. I'm playing hockey. Like, I'm not doing dragon stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I think
know?
they wanted to like shake it up. I guess there's more quests where you have to. There's more of just a quest structure. There's usually, as soon as you walk into the level, there's a guy that tells you
He tells you
something or whatever,
something, yeah.
and then by the end of the level, just getting to the end of the level is you helped these people do whatever.
Right, and there's like a little cut
Yeah.
scene where the
The levels tend to be a
Tiki dude
little
is-
more linear. They have like paths or whatever that'll
Yeah.
branch off.
yeah.
But compared to Spyro 1, where it might be like a tree branch sort of where there is a main path, but you're going off doing stuff or collecting things.
Dude,
It's definitely structured a little differently.
I will say this one thing about Spyro 1 because I platinumed the game, by the way. I'll just give myself a little props there.
That didn't take too long, did it?
It didn't take long at all.
What's your favorite level?
Hmm,
You know what? As a kid, the dark one, the cave with the little cupids that shoot arrows.
that was a cool
That one terrified me as a kid.
That
I
was
was
a
afraid
cool
to
one.
play through it, dude. I never beat that one really.
with the giant dogs or
Yeah,
whatever.
dude, I hated that level. I was so scared of it.
That was good. Anyway, there was a part in the swamp world that when you're up in the trees with the ramps,
Oh yeah, that one's really cool.
there's one platform with a dragon on it that you can't get to.
You have to
And
like super jump off of it.
you super jump off and take a different path around the tree, super jump on this other platform, and like do this weird figure 8 super jumpy thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a puzzle that you can't. It doesn't tell you how to do it, but I walked around that world. I kid you not, for probably 45 minutes to an hour, trying to figure out how to get on this one platform before I realized I had to super jump around like 4 different trees and then get the path
Yeah.
up there. Oh my god, dude!
That was not a game that you could 100% as a kid.
No.
Like
I almost
yeah.
didn't do it. I almost was like, I'm just not gonna platinum it, dude. I'm not gonna look it up, but I'm not gonna platinum it either. But I did it.
I think if you can platinum 1, you should be able to do 2. Because I actually managed 2 as a kid, and it was pretty cool. You get like a little secret. It's like an amusement park themed little world after you do
Spoilers,
it.
dude.
Yeah, I'm just
Come on, dude.
I'm not gonna ruin it for you completely. I honestly don't even remember exactly what you get to do, but it's cool.
I do know
It's
you
really
could put
cool.
in cheat codes and change his color. Do you know that?
Isn't there like a big head mode too?
There's a big head
Yeah,
mode too.
yeah, that's the one I remember.
Yep.
Spyro Goofy. Is he still sassy?
He
Do
is
we know if
super
they changed
sassy.
his voice actor or anything?
Oh, I don't know.
I
He
used
is
to-
real sassy.
yeah.
He sounds like this.
Yeah. It's that flame sack in his throat. He's like a
I'm
smoker.
gonna get nasty Nork.
That's way too good. Have you practiced that?
No, I've just been playing a lot of Spyro, dude.
Okay.
A lot of Spyro.
I've been playing
flame breath.
a nostalgia game lately too.
What you got?
I finally got Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, the re-release.
No, is that about the Zodiac Killer?
No, thank God.
Okay.
It's more about
Fringe.
the Zodiac,
Oh.
I guess.
I
It
don't-
doesn't really have anything to do with it. It's more like a theming thing
Okay. Gotcha.
than anything. But it's like I think it's a really underappreciated RPG. It feels like when people talk about their favorite RPG or talk about their favorite Final Fantasy game, nobody ever talks about 12, and I just don't understand why. I don't think it is though.
Why? What do you like about it so much?
I don't know. Wesley just pointed at something. I'm not sure what it was.
Oh, you like the game too?
Oh, Wesley likes it. Okay,
Interesting.
cool.
Interesting.
I
You
better not
guys
say
have
anything
something in
then, 'cause
common.
Wesley will get mad. But it's like it's very mature. It's kind of it still sort of follows the save the world plot, but it's smaller in scale. It's more of like you're part of a resistance that wants to win back the independence of this country and like restore their rightful ruler and everything. And the thing that really strikes me is the little setting bits. I really like the gameplay, obviously, but it's just so diverse in your options. You can just do so many dumb things because of this sheer number of abilities that your characters have. But the story is kind of cool in that it's so. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, speaking of dumb things you can do, I purchased the game on Justin's recommendation recently, and I've just been fiddling around with it. I'm not very far at all. I went into a shop, and you can buy onion arrows. What are those?
Okay, so in Final Fantasy V, you had like a class system where you could sort of change classes.
Yeah.
The base class was the Onion Knight, I think. Or
The
that,
Onion
or
Knight?
you like, it might be an
Like the
onion
Dark Souls Onion
something.
Knight?
No. That's like a colloquialism. It's actually called Onion something. I can't. Onion Knight might have been like the super class you unlock later, but that's kind of, it's like it just means the basic thing. So
Gotcha.
it doesn't do
Okay.
anything. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I didn't know if it like
Some of you, I think you
I didn't
already
know if it was
start
like
with.
a stinky arrow.
No.
Or like a make you cry arrow.
No.
Okay.
No. But you know, that's an example of the depth and complexity the game has. Is you can actually for all your ranged weapons, crossbows and bows and guns, you can actually change the ammo type, which is super
really cool.
useful. I love that so much. Being
Now-
able to have a gun and then just switch the elemental ammo or whatever you want is
Now,
so
do
nice.
enemies have elemental weaknesses too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I haven't
resistances
delved
and
into
everything.
any
Yeah.
of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How do you
there's-
find that out?
Oh boy, we're going down a rabbit
Oh,
hole. So
God.
there's a spell called Libra. When you
I'm
use
familiar
it,
with
it's
that,
a
yeah.
buff and
Yeah.
it'll tell you what the enemy's weaknesses are. Enemy's weakness. It'll also tell you like it reveals traps and stuff on the ground.
got him good.
You got to look out for traps, dude.
What do you mean traps?
There are like mines and stuff on the ground that enemies plant. Some of them are good. I think some actually heal you, but most of them either do damage or like
How do you?
petrify
How
you or
can you?
something.
Can you tell the difference between which ones are good and bad?
Nope. You just want to avoid them. Yeah, you don't want to touch them.
I did notice the game is like hard, but it's weird because only some of it's hard at the beginning. Like I was fighting through this desert place, and I was killing enemies pretty fine until I met these werewolves that like I could not do anything about.
See, and that's what I love.
And they're
about
just
the
those two
game.
random werewolves.
Yeah.
just
Okay.
in the
See, now I can explain.
That's what I did.
I
I just
like
avoided
when I
them.
talk about it. I compare it kind of to an MMO in a lot of ways. It's set up like kind of like a single player MMO where almost the entire world, a huge portion of it, is technically available to you. Not all of it. Some of it gets blocked off by story stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there's almost always a place you can go that you are not ready to go. So, for example, those giant werewolf dudes in the original game. I'm not sure about these updated versions, but there was a trick you could do to farm them, and they drop a really good weapon. But what they're actually guarding is the passage to a later game area. I'm actually I'm a little farther ahead than you are right now.
Interesting.
I'm probably about 3 or 4 hours ahead of you in the game, and that's where I'm about to go. So
Okay.
you will eventually go there.
Okay.
Now, there's all kinds of places like that. If you go to the western area, even, well, actually, even the east, the very first time you step out of the starting city, there is a giant, like, little 32 T-Rex just sitting there. And they made him friendly just to give you a chance so that you wouldn't get instantly eaten. But you can try and fight him, and he will curb stomp you, like, real hard. In the western sands, there's a boss you can fight that's another, like, earth elemental T-Rex. And you can fight him if you're dumb enough. Over there's also a giant cave that like it's just crazy. This thing winds back and forth through like 5 different zones. There's all kinds of different entrances depending on how you go in or what level you are. You can access different areas.
This gives me anxiety just you talking about
it's
it.
so cool.
Dude,
It's just so interesting and
walking
unique.
around the main city, like I was trying to talk to everybody and learn where everything was, and it was
Yeah.
freaking me out.
There's
dude.
so
Like,
many-
so much interconnected.
There's so
paths
many
and,
people
like,
and they all have interesting things to say, like background on the lore and things
I
like
know,
that.
and I always feel like I'm missing out. Like, did I miss a person?
Well, that's the
Does
thing.
It matter?
Like, no. And
Okay,
that's
good.
the great thing about the game is you can take it at your own pace. If you want to like explore all that optional stuff right when it becomes available, you can. If you want to come back later when you're better prepared for it, you can.
I killed a tomato thing.
Yeah. See, there's always some dumb thing that you can find at any point in the game.
Okay.
Like, for example, that cave I was talking about, right?
Yeah.
In the middle, in the very center of that cave, it's like probably a level like 30-ish area overall, but
Okay.
there's quite a bit of variation depending on which entrance you go in. You're intended to make multiple trips through there. There's a level 99 skeleton dragon in there that will just crush you, just obliterate you. You could be like spanking the final boss and this thing will just obliterate you. And it's just hanging out there. Why? Just cause it's Final Fantasy 12 and it's weird.
What does it do? Like when you beat it, do you get something cool? I guess.
It's guarding a bunch of items and stuff, but I don't think you get anything particularly special for it now.
Wow.
But that's the wonder of old games, man. So if you're as bored by new games as I am, maybe go back, try some stuff. Maybe something we've recommended on the show. Maybe something like Hollow Knight or whatever Michael's playing. And join us next time.
Why'd you
I
say
think-
it like derogatory? Like
well,
whatever.
I expected
Michael's
you to
playing.
kind of pick it up and like
Oh, I didn't.
offer a recommendation, but you kind of dropped the ball.
I did. I dropped it
That's
like
okay.
a.
I think
hot
next
potato.
week we're gonna try and talk about the new Smash Brothers game.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna play that a little bit at least, and then probably just after New Year's we're gonna try and do a Game of the Year episode and have everybody, kind of chat about the games we have been playing, the things that we want to play in the future that we kind of missed,
I'm
and
gonna talk about Dragon Quest for an hour.
that's another game I want to play. All right, until next time, guys. I'm sorry Zach's not here to do whatever he does. I don't ever pay
Nobody
attention
cares
when
about him.
yeah when he
Everybody
talks, I
cares
just stop
about my
listening.
finger gun.
Bang bang bang
Bang bang.
All right, we're done.